Do you know your American history? The citizens of America today do not know their American history. Ask most students what George Washington warned the United States of in his farewell address, and most likely you'll be met with a completely blank stare. Or ask the average college student in America when the Constitution of the United States was ratified, and by what states, and most likely their expressions will confess, I should know this, but I don't. This is a very dangerous place for our country to be in. We are forgetting America's foundation, and because of this, our country is changing out from under our feet without us even realizing it. Without a solid understanding of American government and history, we can't expect the rising generation to run with the baton of freedom that we have carried for so long. My name is Christina Hennessy, and today I hope to remind you of this matter of extreme importance, knowing our country's history. I have met with too many youth today who are nonchalant about our country's politics and policies, but that's because they have not been taught otherwise. I've grown to become passionate about reviving the nationalism and the love for our country that the youth of America once had. Because amidst all this globalization ideology, we've lost our love and respect for a country that has uncommonly withstood the test of time based on just a single document. So what is the problem? Why is this a problem? Who is the culprit? How can we fix this issue? And after all that information, where do we even start? So first, what is the problem? First of all, students don't know where they stand. And when they have a stand, it's not normally based on historical evidence. It's not the complete fault of the student. They just haven't been taught the history of our country in a relevant and engaging and applicable way. In USA Today, Tracy Briggs reported about the Intercollegiate Studies Institute, which is called ISI. Overall, freshmen averaged about 50.4% on a wide-ranging civic literary test, and seniors averaging about 54.2%. So freshmen in college and seniors in college both failed, if you're going to translate the percentage into grades, both failed that test. They got an F on the history of a country that they actually live in, and that country that they're going to carry in the next generation. Josiah Bunting, who is the chairman of ISI's National Civic Liberty Board, said that one of the things our research demonstrates conclusively is that an increase in what we call civic knowledge is almost invariably leads to a use of that knowledge in a beneficial and a useful way. And so this is useful knowledge that we're talking about. But many of you still probably may not understand why this is such a grave problem in our country. It's history. I know, it's elementary school. It's going back a long time ago. But this is important, and we need to know why this is a problem. So why is it a problem? Because the interpretation of the U.S. Constitution has changed from literal to relative. If the foundations are destroyed, or challenged, or cracked, or fractured, what can the people do? Our government was made to govern a moral and educated people. John Adams said, our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate for the government of any other. William Galston, the Brookings Institution Senior Fellows of Governance Studies, said that less is being expected of secondary and post-secondary education in the way of civic education. Because less is expected, less is achieved. This less achieved is being exemplified by the U.S.'s falling behind the rest of the world as students from the U.S. are learning lower and lower standards, are ranking lower and lower compared to Japan or compared to Canada or compared to Finland. Mary McGaugh said the big concern for the U.S. is the diversity of the quality of institutions and the fact that expectations have not been set high enough. With this variant of standard, it is imperative for individuals to know what they believe and why they believe it as far as our country's foundations go. It comes down to ultimately personal responsibility. For you to say, you know what? I need to know why I believe this. I need to know why this policy is being enacted. I need to know why this applies to me. And standing up, taking those 10 minutes out and researching that topic so you can be an active citizen voting for that topic and changing the course of possibly a nation. As human beings, we like to blame someone for a problem, though. So this is a problem. We like to put our finger on it. Who is the culprit? If it hasn't been obvious already, the culprit today is American citizen. The individual American, me. The individual American, you. The individual American, our family, our friends, our co-workers. It is all of our fault because we are being lazy. Teachers are not igniting a passion in students to go out and to change the country for the better. Students are not recognizing this lack of passion. And so with an uncaring youth, a country can only decline. Joyce Santana said, "Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it." It takes individual desire and purpose to delve into the rich history of our nation and view that history in a historical context. Now, when I say historical context, it means I'm saying take off your worldview. Take off the glasses that you view the world with. Take off your perspective of how you look at the world and view it through new eyes. View it through the eyes of that person in Jamestown, or view it through the eyes of that person during the Civil Rights Movement. View it through the completely different eyes. Because if we apply our right now, our underlying belief is commercialism and egocentricity. So basically, it's all about us, and it's all about what I have. But back in Jamestown, it was not about the individual, and it wasn't about individual achievement. It was about the community. It was about nations, and it was about everyone coming together and becoming a body, a body of people changing the world. And we've changed that. So if we go in, and that changes any moral belief, any belief ever, always changes as time goes on. It goes up and then it goes down. It goes up and then it goes down. And so right now, I'd say we're probably in a stance where we completely rely on ourselves. We completely rely on our achievements. But back then, they had no such thing. So we need to remember that when we view history, when we view different aspects of history, that we keep in mind that the way they view that world is different than the way we're viewing our world today. So do you see now why it's important to take action? We need to change our country's possible decline. How can we fix this issue? We need to teach history relevantly. We need to relate past events to current events. We need to practice stepping outside of our world into another and watch with fresh eyes the pages of history unfold. Make it applicable. Winston Churchill said the only thing we've learned from history is that we don't learn from history. If the current students of today, the modern students of today, learn how past students were a part of the rise and downfall of countries and apply what they find to their lifestyles, society could be forever changed in a good way. So evaluate new policies from also almost a conservative or foundational standpoint. We need to be very careful in the way we alter and add to our Constitution. David Barton, in this last September 2010, he reminded listeners that we've been under the same piece of paper longer than any other country in the world. It's a very, very precarious position when we start to go in and change aspects of a document that has carried us for such a long time. Start from the beginning and hold your history high. This may seem like a very overwhelming task. This may seem extremely boring, extremely mundane. Going back to elementary school, learning the preamble of the Constitution. So where in the world do we start? Where can we start in this huge project of going back to our country's roots? Start with you. Start today. Teach history and the history of our republic in a relevant and engaging way to those around you. Learn the reasons behind certain policies are being enacted. Learn the history of why it's important to you, to your community, to the state, to the country, and to our world as a whole. And be enthusiastic about it. If you force yourself to be enthusiastic, as Frank Bedker says, you will automatically become enthusiastic, and then that enthusiasm is contagious. In the book, How I Raised Myself from a Failure to Success Through Selling, his name is Frank Bedker, the man who wrote the book, and he gives different aspects of how to sell and how to bring up enthusiasm in a group of people. And so basically what he says is just start with you. Start to become enthusiastic, and people will naturally follow. Senator John Kennedy says, "I still believe America's destiny is to become a living testament to what free human beings can do when acting in unity." The students and teachers of America need an awakening in the way that they approach our country and its outstanding history. As a nation, we need to start at the roots. Start at the roots, and we need to build up from there, even if it means tearing up the old root and planting a brand new seed. Know what is important about this country. Know the United States track record. Keep up with current events. Vote. I encourage those around you to do the same. Become an active citizen. Become active. Never become passive. If we all become more active citizens, aware of how far we've come, this country will run the way it was meant to. And freedom will become a truth all understand, and a truth that all enjoy. Thank you.